share it is because I feel like each and every one of you will be able to relate to this in some way, shape, or form. And just to give you a little bit of background on where this has come from, some of you might have seen that I've been doing Krav Maga this year, which is an Israeli self-defense force training, so it's like street self-defense. It's about 10 to 20% contact when we train, which means it's inevitable for me to get punched in the face, right? It's going to happen at some point. And what I want to tell you about this is I actually did get punched ago. And what's interesting about this is that when I did get, like, I'm sure nobody's ever prepared to be punched in the face, and I'm sure the guys on this live stream probably have been punched in the face, however, and three things happened when I did get punched in the face. I had an automatic reaction that was like a vile, foul mouth, right? I let it out on this dude who did it. And obviously it's not intentional, it's part and part of sparring at Krav Maga. The second thing that happened was I got this overwhelming feeling of I didn't know what to do, and my outburst, like my reaction was to cry, yeah? And then I instantly froze and I couldn't keep going. I backed down, I stopped, I left my session. Now, after that, I was rattled with like huge amounts of emotion, and I've never been presented in that situation before. And this is how it relates to life. And so basically I had two choices at the end of this, right? I had to take my lunch. I had two choices. I could let that cripple me with fear of being punched in the face again and not go back to Krav Maga, or I can look at different ways that I can work on this and see it as a challenge and relate it to my life, right? So what I did was, I'm not one to back down from a challenge or from something stopping me from what I want. However, if I relate it to my life, and you can relate it to your life, it's like, how many times do you get punched in the face by life? Like, not literally in terms of being punched in the face, but how many times do you get stopped by things that get in the way of what you want? Or they get in the way of where you want to go, or, who you want to be, or where you want to be, or whatever, right? The reason I did Krav Maga in the first place is because it gives me this sense of empowerment and feeling that, no matter how many times I get knocked down, I always get back up. And it's about becoming stronger, like mentally and physically. So going to Krav Maga is just not about being fit for me. It's about a whole range of other things, right? Because how many times have I got knocked down in life, fucked over, made mistakes, all of that stuff, right? There's so many times that's happened in my life, and I've got back up and continued to charge forward. So just to go back to Krav Maga for a second, I went back a second time, and not the same thing happened. I didn't get punched in the face. However, I did get this frozen feeling, and I got myself backed into a corner and I cried. I then continued to go back again, and the same thing happened, backed into a corner and cried. So that's 3 times that I've gone to Krav Maga that I have been backed into a corner, cried and froze and not known what to do, right? Even though I've continued to go back, it's still it's like banging my head against a brick wall. I haven't been able to move past that challenge or that punch in my face. So what do you do from there? Well, I sat back and asked myself, is this something I really want to do? I reminded myself of why I actually really do it. And then I asked myself, what resources can I use, or what resources do I have to be able to help me work through this so I can come out on the other side? Those 3 questions are like 3 of the most important questions you can ask yourself when you get knocked down. So I'm relating this to being punched in the face because it's like life punching you in the face. How many times have you been punched in the face by life, or something stood in your way, or you failed at something 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times? Like, how easily have you given up? How easily have you thrown in the towel just because it didn't work or it turned out shit? So many times and so often I see this all the time. It's like people throw in the towel and give up so goddamn easily just because one time it didn't work or it didn't work out the way that you wanted it to. You can relate this to your business, you can relate this to your body, and for most of the women that will probably watch this live stream, if they've been following me for a while, or I've helped them in some way, shape or form with their body, this is like pure example. How many times do you just give up? Because if you want something and you want to work at something, it requires work. It requires effort. It requires you to be able to figure out a way that you can make it work for yourself. Just because it works for someone else one way doesn't mean it's going to work for someone else, right? So I'm the only female in my Krav Maga session. I'm the only female. So those guys, they're used to being punched in the face. So they can just get over it like quite easily. For me, it was a different story. I'd never been punched in the face before. And then I didn't know how to protect myself or defend myself because I'm so short and everybody's so tall, right? So I've got to get in nice and close. So what resources or what tools do I have to be able to work through this? And what I did was make a list of them and then action them, which is exactly what happened. And I contacted one of my friends who's in MMA and does BJJ as well, and asked if he could help me build my confidence with sparring so that I can then go back to Krav Maga, because I didn't go back for a week because I was scared. And I have been nervous to go back. So I really want to go back because I really do want to make it work. And I enjoy it. Those guys are like my big brothers, right? So how can I make it work? How can I work around it to build on my confidence? I call on one of my friends to come and run me through a private session of sparring. Now, my friend that I called understands that I like to simplify my shit, break it right down, and then build it back up. That is the way that I operate. I know that I operate that way because I've spent so many years understanding how I operate. So we spent last night breaking it down and then building it back up. I got him to help me simplify my shit, which is what I help others do, right? So everybody needs some accountability or some help sometimes to be able to break stuff down, to be able to smash through barriers, fears, goals, whatever it is that you're trying to smash through. Sometimes everybody needs some assistance to move forward, right? So utilize the resources or look around you. How can I work on this to get better at it? Instead of just getting mad at yourself for not having dominated it in the first place and you didn't even know how to do it in the first place. I hope this is making some sense and you can relate this some way, shape or form to you in your life or challenges that have presented themselves for you. And with what's that saying? Well and behold? Oh, I don't know. And basically last night ended up doing 3 1-minute rounds of sparring and I got punched in the face multiple times. However, I was taught how to defend myself and I had a ball doing it. I did not back down even when I did get punched. I didn't back into the corner and freeze or have a vile, foul mouth like I did the first time. I didn't even cry this time. And I had a whole heap of fun doing it because I went and spent the time and invested the time and my money into learning how to break it down so that I can then be better at it. This is so crucial because everybody wants instant gratification, or they want to be amazing at things straight away. If you have never done something before, you're never, like, sure, you might fluke it and be freaking unreal at it, or you might have to work for it. And working for it requires effort. It requires sitting back, assessing it, like, how can I get better at it? What might I need to learn? What might I need to do to then push through this, to rise above it, to work through it, whatever it is that you've got. Things are not handed to people on a platter. And the thing is with social media and marketing and stuff, like, you see the outside cover. You see the end result when people share their achievements and their goals and their wins. But you have no goddamn idea what went into that to produce that. Everybody sees the end result and they don't get to see, like, all the effort and work and everything that was required to actually get to that point. It's like with body transformations. You see the before and after. You don't see the emotional shifts, the mindset shifts, all the habits that everybody changed. You don't see that shit. You just see a transformation. Or like business, for anyone that runs their own business on here. You see that someone went from zero, like earning $500 a month to $50,000 a month. You got no idea of the effort that went into it in the background to be able to produce that result. So we expect to be amazing at things, and we expect to get things right all the time, or be a perfectionist and have it all at once. It does not work like that. You need to work smarter instead of just expecting things being handed to you. And how you work smarter is you figure out what it is that you want so that you know what you want. You plan out a roadmap on how you're going to aim to get there. Pull on your resources, people that are around you that can help you, guide you, give you information. Ask, drop your freaking ego, and if you don't know something, ask somebody that does. Go to an expert that can help you figure out how you're going to get from A to B, or how you're going to get from A to Z, and then what might need to happen at step B, C, D, E, F, G, like the whole lot, right? Figure out what needs to happen, and then just take action on the plan. And even if you get punched in the face by life, I'm talking about here, and for me it's with Krav Maga and life, even if you do get punched in the face, or you get a hurdle or a challenge, like, accept the challenge, rise above it, and figure out how you're gonna work around it, how you're gonna, like, work through it, or how you're gonna grow through it. And then when you actually get that end result of what you sort of set out for, instead of just throwing in the towel and giving up, then you will have this amazing sense of achievement at the end, and the empowerment that you get from knowing that you stuck to it, and you didn't give up, and you kept going because you figured out what ways around it. You understood how you work. You understood what set you back, so therefore you can change course in moving forward. It's about, like, and it's about what happens in between getting from the first point to the last point. If life were easy and you had everything already, like, you would have to do no work ever, or there would be no effort required to get anywhere. It's actually in the work and the effort that makes life worth it, that makes having the things that we want worth it. Make a plan for what you want. It's not about instant gratification and getting it straight away, or entitlement and you deserve it and whatever. You deserved it if you put in the freaking work and you put in the effort to actually get there. You don't just deserve it just 'cause. People who achieve amazing things in life, or, you know, whatever their amazing things are, it came from a lot of work and effort. It didn't just come from they just got sent it in the mail one day and then they had it. So I'm definitely ranting on a little bit here. However, I'm just loving it. Because it's all just sort of, yeah, I'm just having a ball talking about this stuff because it's so relatable to everything in life. So, get punched in the face by life and then figure out how you're going to work through it, work around it, grow from it, become stronger from it, as opposed to letting it cripple you and stopping you from having what you want. Because then in there lies the gap that then creates lack of confidence, lack of self-belief, right? Because if you're giving up on everything straight up and straight away, you're never going to be think that you can do anything because you keep giving up, but you never really put the effort and the work into it in the first place that's required to get it. So it's like people lack confidence and self-belief, but it's really like you created it yourself. You created it yourself because you never tried to see anything through, work around it, and every time you get knocked down, you stay down instead of getting back up. So that is my 2 cents worth for Sunday. I would love to know if this is relatable to you in any way, shape, or form, or just, I don't know, some comments or some love, whatever it is that you would like on a Sunday with me today. And yeah, I look forward to doing another live stream soon. All right, see you guys. I'm going to chill. Bye.